25th of February 25, and I'm just looking at the German election, which was on Sunday. They're allowed to vote between, I think it's 8 o'clock and 6 o'clock in the evening. That's not very long, is it? And apparently it was the biggest turnout since reunification in 1990 or 91 or whenever it was. So that just goes to show you that both sides there was a big interest, you know. There was a big interest from, well, I would say it's mass migration, the anxious mass migration people or mass migration protesters. And then the other side you had the left basically, or, you know, probably all newcomers as well, I would guess. So it was a really big turnout, and AFD done well at 20%, but that's not good enough, you know. There's also the BSW in Germany. Germany's actually lucky in that they've got two parties that are mass migration, what would I say the word for it, mass migration sceptical or worried, concerned. Yeah, so they get 20%. The other ones, BSW, they get 4.9%. They're actually a left-leaning thing, who are mass migration concerned. So that's a good thing. It'd be good if we had that in every country, you know, like a right party that's mass migration concerned, and then a left party that's also, so that voters have got something to choose. I mean, I've said many times I don't believe in the party system, because I don't believe in party hampers, you know. We should be able to vote on issues like they do in Switzerland, quarterly referendums, petition referendums, you know. We really don't have democracies, and in Germany they only get to vote every 5 years as well, same as UK really. This was a special one because the coalition collapsed, and so it lasted about 3 years, I think. And ironically, I think it partly collapsed because the Greens felt that Schultz, the SPD guy, wasn't helping Ukraine enough. He wasn't giving them Taurus missiles or whatever they are, or whatever. And the Greens resigned, I think, because of it, the defence minister. So the Greens over there sound really good, actually. I think they actually might even be mass migration concern, I don't know, but because I did see some post where the co-deputy leader, the lady, said something like she felt that North Africans who had failed the asylum thing should be sent back, you know, because what they usually do is just stay anyway, wait for an amnesty, something like that. But yeah, so the migration sceptical ones they get 25%, but the CDU, the main party, they get 28%. That BSW, they didn't get into the parliament because you need 5% to get in. So who decides these things, you know? Apparently they were 0.003% off, and 13,000 votes off, so it was a real... I was disappointed about that, you know, because if you get in, you could get like 60 seats, which is 5%, you know. And sadly, the socialists, the left party, Linke they're called over there, that must be the German word for left, they get in, they get 8%, they've done much better than everyone expected. I'm not really sure why, but I've got some graphs here. I was really trying to find some graphs, you know, because I think graphs and stats are the most important thing. I don't really want to hear opinion, you know, like me or whatever, although my opinion's much better than most. But yeah, I'm just looking at I think this is where voters went. So SPD were the main party. They're sort of like Labour in the UK. They were the ones in power. They done terrible. They got about 14% or 13%. CDU only get 28%. I think that's one of their worst results. But they just can't get that many now because they've got a proportional representation thing, and the two main parties they only get about, I don't know, 50% now or something, 60%, people are voting other parties. Apparently young men voted AFD mostly, and young ladies voted Linky. But a lot of young ladies second voted AFD, you know. And apparently AFD is a sort of East German thing. I don't know how much. They get about 20% of the vote. I don't know how much of that's East German though, apart from Berlin. So I don't know, I'm just making up a number, 15%, 14% of that, 20%. I don't know. But I'll just try to find some stats. It was very difficult. So SPD, where did their votes go? They got some from FDP, which is like the Liberal Party, or in the UK, Lib Dems, and then didn't vote the last time, so they got 250,000 people who didn't vote the last time. But ones that left them, 1.7 million left them for the CDU, who were the biggest party. That's the Conservatives really. 720,000 left for the AFD, so that's pretty good, you know. They've left from the left to AFD. Linky, so that's the Socialist Party, 560,000. You know, the Corbynista Party or whatever. Apparently they're very pro-Israel. BSW, so these were part of Linky, but they left on a few policies, but I think especially because they're mass migration concerned and left want an open border. So they left and set up a new left party, which is mass migration concerned. Imagine you could vote for something like that in the UK. Well, you actually can with the Social Democrat Party, but they hardly had any candidates standing the last time. So Linky 560,000, that's quite a lot. BSW 440,000, so that's quite a lot. They left the SPD for the centre left for the BSW, and then 100,000 left for the Green Party, who done very well, which I think is a mistake, you know. But. And then the CDU, the Conservative Party, who won basically. Well, they only get 28%, so it's not that much, you know. AFD get 20%, so they weren't that far behind, you know. So 1.7 million came from the SPD, 1.3 came from FTP. They done very badly. They were like the Lib Dems. They apparently were to blame for the coalition collapsing or something, I don't know, but everyone left them, I don't know why, but 1.3 million. They only got about 9% or something. Didn't vote the last time, 900,000 voted for the CDU this time. The Greens, 460,000, so that's quite a surprise, you know. I wouldn't expect the Greens to come to them. And then former CDU voters, 1 million left for AFD, so that's good. 220,000 left for BSW, so that's good. And 70,000 left for Linky, so that doesn't make any sense at all. Like, that's like 70,000 leaving the Tories for the Corbynistas thing, you know. Then on to the Greens. 140,000 left at FDP party, 110,000 didn't vote the last time they came for the Greens, 100,000 voted from the SPD, and then who left them? 700,000 left for Linky. Well, that's no surprise really, because Greens and Corbynista type, there's not much difference really in social policy anyway. That's Trump that called it that. So he's totally correct about that, about Trump. Europe needs to have its own defence army really, and its own sort of NATO thing. You know, you can actually see America now really as a sort of frenemy, basically. Really, there's the AFD lady. She's maybe pretty good, but the guy who won, so he's already talking softly on immigration, saying the wrong message. So I wonder if it's going to be like Holland, where the voters had regret. I think Geert Wilders' party was expected to get 14%. They actually get 21%, but they didn't win. And just as like in Germany, even though they were the second party or whatever, the other ones came up with a coalition that didn't include Geert Wilders. So the week after that, or the 2 weeks after that, in a poll, about 31% said they would vote for VVD for Geert Wilders, you know. So they had voters' remorse, because there's all these native Dutch and native German that are concerned about mass migration, but they can't bring themselves to do a protest vote on it. I mean, that's all it is, it's a protest vote. It doesn't mean you're a bad person in it, you know. Yeah. Yeah, so he seems pretty unlikable. He seems technocrat. Apparently, him and Merkel didn't get on, and when Merkel became the Prime Minister, or whatever she's called, it was either him or her that would become it for the CDU leader. Merkel won it. She was a disaster, as we know, and I think she was there for 15 years or something, and she had to be shoved out in the end, really. Yeah. Or he wanted to become the successor, but Merkel had somebody else in mind. He became the thing, but then lost the election to SPD or whatever 3 years ago. AfD nearly doubled its support, especially in East Germany, where it became the largest party. Saw that anyway. Just see what anybody's saying, you know. But like I say, I think a lot of native Germans are probably going to have voters' remorse if. I think over there it's the first time in a long time that the right have had more than 50% of the vote. You know, same as in UK. I mean, it's about 60, 70 years or something since the right had more than 50% of the vote, you know, because we've only got the Tory party where we did. Now we're almost there now with Reform and Tories. In fact, we are really there. They're getting about 50%, 51%, the two of them together. That's not happened, right, for like 60, 70 years. Even Margaret Thatcher, I think she got 43% maximum. So everyone's turned right. In my opinion, it's because of mass migration. People don't know where to vote. It's like a sort of thing it didn't matter who you voted for in the past, you were going to get it. And we did get it with Boris Johnson. He gave us even more than anybody else. Direct from the global south, not even through the EU. And somebody was saying, Matt Goodwin was saying last night in a speech at the Reform had a conference in Cornwall, and which are excellent. I think these conferences, they've been having them every Monday, I think, for say every fortnight or something in different districts. They've been packed out. And Matt Goodwin was saying that the people that Boris brought over, next January they'll be able to start to ask for, what do they call it? Because it'll be 5 years. Yeah, Boris's waves started in 21, so next year they'll be able to ask for indefinite leave to Britain, and that means they'll be able to bring their family over and stuff like that. And basically that's them becoming citizens, really. You know, if you go to Dubai as a temporary worker, I don't think you ever get to become a citizen, or it's really, really difficult. Whereas in the UK, you just need to hang about for 5 years and you'll get a definite leave to remain, which really means you're a citizen, really. You're in sort of grey zone there. And then a few years later, you can apply for citizenship and you'll get it, really. And what Sam Bidwell said, he's a great person to follow on Twitter. He said they should increase that to 10 years for now to stop this Boris wave lot, you know, because hopefully by then native Brits will be even more sceptical about mass migration and more will vote for anti-migration parties, and then we'll want to stop it altogether. But you're having to sort of spoon feed them because they're so stressed out about it, because British natives are so nice, the same as Germany, you know, like. So Sam Bidwell's, I don't know if the Tories have taken that up. I heard that the Tories asked a question the other day in Parliament to do with indefinite leave to remain. But I don't know if they're actually came now actually said she wants to make it longer as a Tory policy, because she came out with some policies 2 weeks ago or something. You know, you really need to make it like 10 years. Personally, I think it needs to stop altogether to see if it's going to work, or are we heading towards chaos. It's okay to predict that it's heading towards utopia. You're not going to get arrested for that or anything, for saying it's going to be utopia. Whereas if you personally are wondering, I think it might not be such a good idea. I'm wondering if it might be anarchy. You're not allowed to think that. I mean, why? If it's what you personally think as you're listening to this, or whatever, So I'll just see if anybody's saying. Nothing really. So that'll do for now on the German election. And like I say, I'm glad he's taking that hard line with Trump on Hangme. Macron, Trump told his lie again. Trump and Macron were in the Oval Office yesterday in Washington. Trump told his lie again, because Trump just lies, and if somebody just lies, there's not really much you can say, because if they just lie, there's nothing to, you're in quicksand, there's nothing, if they're just lying, there's nothing you can argue with them a bit. But Trump said that the USA have given Ukraine 350 million, whereas Europe haven't given that much, and they've given it as loans. And Macron broke in there in the conference and said, no, that's not right, we're given 60% of it as thing, same as USA or whatever. A lot of it's sort of loan guarantees or something. So, and I saw Trump's face, Trump wasn't happy at all about it. So it looks like Europe are going to sort of stick up for Ukraine, which is good, because you need to. In fact, even while Trump was having that meeting yesterday with Macron, and he told that lie about America giving 350 billion, they've only given about 95 billion, and it's all complicated. It's not just as if they've given it. A lot of it's American defence stuff, or it's not even been given yet. A lot of it was promised and not given, but they reckon about 95 billion. It's nowhere near 350 billion. Trump wants to steal Ukraine's mineral wealth forever. I mean, I think even Trump voters are probably embarrassed about the way he's fleecing Ukraine, Even Trump voters are embarrassed. There was a poll recently, and I don't know, I think about 80% were against Putin, It really is embarrassing what he is doing. But a lot of because it's 3 years yesterday that's 3 years of invasion of Russia yesterday, and a lot of the EU leaders were in Ukraine to be with Zelensky on the day. So that was a good sign, while Macron was at the White House. They were all out with the EU, and they had a G7 conference. I don't know how, maybe they had it by online feed or whatever. I guess Trump must have been there. I think Trump never came to meet Macron at the White House door. He's been doing a lot of slights like this. And if Nigel Farage thinks he can say anything that Trump doesn't agree with, I think he's wrong, because he was saying yesterday in the conference Ukraine needs security guarantees, but he was at the right-wing CPAC conference in America on Saturday, and Trump was there as well, and Steve Bannon, he liked to have done a Nazi salute, same way that Elon Musk done, But yeah, when Trump came on, he said, and Nigel's here. Nigel, I think he's my friend. Well, at least I think he is. So, and that's because Nigel's differing slightly on him on Ukraine. I mean, Nigel's always been seen as in Russia as pro-Putin. That's why they show him on TV. They show speeches he's done in the EU Parliament, So if Nigel thinks he can use his own logic for his positions or his own view, and if they don't agree with Trump and he thinks that Trump's going to let him diverge slightly, he's wrong. He's going to do the same thing that Elon done to Nigel, really. So, yeah, that's all about it. That's all I've got to say about that just now. Really, I want graphs and stats. Alright, that's it then. Bye for now.